Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Top 5. This is my top 5 movies of 2020. Let's get it started. Now, this is my top 5 movies that I enjoyed. It's been a crazy year for movies, obviously, with the pandemic. I'm sure there's a lot of movies that I haven't seen that I will probably eventually see that might have made the list if I had seen it in time, but I have not. So let's start off with number 5. It's a movie that came out earlier in the year. Some places say it came out in 2019, but I believe the U.S. release was early 2020, and that movie is The Gentleman by Guy Ritchie. Just a really fun kind of crime heist movie. Really brought Guy Ritchie back to his roots. It felt a lot more like Snatch or Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Great cast, great story. I thought just a really fun movie and really brought Guy. I haven't been a fan of Guy Ritchie movies for a while. He kind of, I don't know what's going on with the movies that he's been tasked to direct, but The Gentleman I felt was a return to form, and I really enjoyed it. So my number 5 movie of 2020 is The Gentleman. My number 4 movie is The King of Staten Island, or just King of Staten Island. I don't think "the" is part of the title. It's a Judd Apatow movie written by Pete Davidson, starring Pete Davidson. It's kind of there's definitely people that did not like this movie. I really enjoyed it. First off, Judd Apatow is one of the few directors who makes more grounded type of comedy movies. So many comedy movies just rely on just stupid characters and kind of just being goofy and dumb, which can work definitely at sometimes. But I do enjoy bringing comedy to a higher level of artistry. And King of Staten Island, I really enjoyed. Pete Davidson's character. It's a story based on his life. Bill Burr was amazing in it. Just a great movie. Character, kind of just degenerate characters that I know those people. Very much. Just kind of an interesting storyline. Just an interesting kind of dive into unique characters and living in Staten Island, which is kind of just a trashy place apparently. But yeah, King of Staten Island, my number 4 movie of the year. My number 3 movie of the year is The Devil All the Time. It's just by Antonio Campos, written and directed. Just a crazy ride of a story. Just so many crazy things happening. The title is 100%. It describes the movie in so many ways. You're following this character where all of these horrible things are happening. But just a well-told story, just a story. Like I like a movie that will take me on a ride, right? Like King of Staten Island was a ride. The Gentleman was a ride. Devil All the Time is a ride, and it was a dark ride. But I enjoyed it, and also, introduced me to Antonio Campos, which I went and rewatched his earlier films, and I think Devil All the Time is really a culmination of his abilities and skills as a director to tell really interesting stories and get really great performances out of people. But yeah, that's just one of. If the movie tonally wasn't so dark and depressing, it may have been my number 1 movie of the year, but it is solidly at number 3, The Devil All the Time, which I believe it's a Netflix movie. So if you have Netflix, I highly recommend checking it out. Obviously, people aren't always into depressing movies, but Devil All the Time, Great. So my number two movie of 2020 is Sound of Metal by Darius Martyr, written and directed by. A lot of these movies, by the way, written and directed by the people that created it, which I kind of enjoy the purity of a writer director being able to create their voice and tell their story in the way they want. It's just a lot less. The less cooks in the kitchen, the better, I would say. So number two, Sound of Metal. Riz Ahmed, amazing performance. He should be getting the Best Actor award by far. Sound design is a no-brainer. I don't really know if sound design, sound editing, sound effects. I don't know the definitions of those awards or those kind of credits. But the sound of the movie, the audio aspects of the movie Sound of Metal are one of the most important characters, if not Riz Ahmed's character. But it's a movie I watched this week, and it instantly became part. I mean, the story itself of an artist having to evolve and grow and change because of a loss of hearing is like a story that I relate to in some ways. Just as an artist having to grow and evolve, not necessarily because of a loss of an ability, but just in general, uh, being an artist is something that requires you to uh, constantly change and grow. But yeah, Sound of Metal, amazing film. Just a movie that relies so much on sound, which is an aspect that no other movie uh, I know of. I'm sure there are, like Dancer in the Dark, kind of, although that was more visual. But yeah, Sound of Metal, my number two movie of the year. Just a simple movie that really is able to has a big impact with just how the audio uh, works in and participates in this telling of this story. But my number one movie of 2020. This is a movie that I enjoyed watching. I've watched multiple times. It's a movie that I relate to because of things I've already mentioned. But my number one movie of 2020 is the 40-year-old version. Talked about Judd Apatow before. This is not the 40-year-old virgin. The 40-year-old version, written and directed by Rada Blank, about a screenwriter who had early success in her 20s and is now in her 40s and struggling to understand what her voice is, trying to create something new, trying to evolve her creative ability into something that makes sense for her. And it's just well directed. The performances are great. The the path and the kind of struggle that the main character is going through is something that I enjoy. Artistically, it's something it's difficult, I think, for a lot of artists to especially if you gain success early on in your career. It's hard to get to a place where you're experimenting. It's hard to try new things, and the 40-year-old version is the story of somebody trying new things and trying to evolve her creative abilities to do what she does in a new way. And I really enjoyed it. Listening to, she recently got a shout out from Judd Apatow. And the reason she titled the movie 40-year-old version is she wanted to appropriate white culture for once. So in doing that, in titling her movie the 40-year-old version, she is appropriating the white culture of the 40-year-old virgin, but doing it for a black movie. And it makes me appreciate the title more. Not necessarily a fan of the title, but knowing that that was the purpose for it makes sense. and it fits with the movie itself. And I really enjoyed the movie. Really excited to see what Rada Blank does next. Because it's somebody that came in. It had a sense of humor. It had a style. It had a voice that was very right out the gate. A very unique voice, and I enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to what she does next. So those are my top 5 movies of 2020. Let me run down my top 5 one more time. If you're looking to check out what I find to be the greatest achievements in cinema, in my opinion. Not really, but they're just movies that I really enjoyed for a lot of different reasons. Number 5, The Gentleman by Guy Ritchie. Number 4, King of Staten Island by Judd Apatow, written by Pete Davidson. Number 3, The Devil All the Time by Antonio Campos. Number 2, Sound of Metal by Darius Martyr. And number 1, 40-Year-Old Version by Rada Blank. Check all those movies out. 40-Year-Old Versions, Netflix. Sound of Metal on Amazon Prime. Devil All the Time, Netflix. King of Staten Island, I don't think is streaming anywhere, or The Gentleman. But check him out if you get a chance. I enjoyed him. But those are my top 5 movies of 2020. Make sure you support our sponsor, Station House Coffee, on Instagram and stationhousecoffee.com. Order yourself some amazing coffee, single origin, premium, small batch coffee, brewed in Thetford Center, Vermont, and shipped directly to you. Go to stationhousecoffee.com and order your coffee today, and follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/Inspired Disorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com, and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!